let's take a bit of time here to talk about manga, specifically this one, Isshou Senkin, or Star Strike It Rich, or however you pronounce the star emoji, Stir. But let's start with some background and have a look into the Yabako Sandrovich crossover universe. It's not a cinematic universe, yet. It all started with this lad. This is Tokito Oma, the main character of Kengan Ashura. This is a really popular and well-known martial arts manga that sets up this entire world of underground fighting where there are no rules and you can kill your opponent. Anything goes, just no weapons. Unless they're part of your body, in which case, apparently that's fine. This came out in 2012, it's finished, would recommend a read. The story of it is pretty basic. There's a big ass fighting tournament and we watch the fights. This is where we get world famous Thai boxers, karate masters, hell we even get fishers and assassins. This manga has a prequel, Kengan Ashura 0, and a sequel, Kengan Omega. The series even has an anime with one of the most famous matchups in anime history, CG. But that's not the only series under this author's belt. It wouldn't really be a universe with only one series now, would it? Series number 2, How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift? Very different from Kengan Ashura, which is about people at peak fitness. This is one about high school girls working out and trying to lose weight, or, in one girl's case, get absolutely ripped. It's very silly and actually has legitimate workout advice. Naturally, it also has an anime which was, honestly, way better than I ever expected it to be. It was actually hilarious, and that opening was a bomb. And we can't forget Best Boy Machio. But we're getting a bit off topic here. How does this relate back to Kengan Ashura? Well, throughout the manga and anime, not only are there references to Kengan Ashura, there's full-on acknowledgement that they take place in the same world. Hell, one of the teachers at the high school has the trademark eyes of the assassins. So this is all well and good, but what does it have to do with Isshou Senkin? Well, take the all about girls from How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, and take the no bars hell fighting and world from Kengan Ashura, and wham! What you're left with is Isshou Senkin. The main character is actually a high school girl, but let's get into it. We follow 3 girls. A washed up underground fighter who is kicked out of her circle because her fights are boring. A small-time Yakuza girl who took over from her father, and their friend from when they were in school who is now a very, very crooked cop. With all their connections, they did the logical thing, make their own underground fight ring. And it starts off about how you expect, some basic no technique hair pulling and general scrapping. But they want something more, and bring in this high school girl. Now, this girl, she is a hyper trained fighter because reasons. There is proper reason, but all we care about is she can throw hands like it's nobody's business. And thus we reach the meat and potatoes. This little lunatic wants a good fight, so these startup fighters mean nothing to her. We quickly scale up from wild fighters to actual martial artists because it'd be too boring if she dominated for too long. But it's still fun getting those Saitama moments where she just one-shots. Maybe this is the Gap Moe I've heard so much about. She has a cute catchphrase and everything, before she beats her opponents into a bloody and sometimes extremely bloody pulp. Luckily, we don't only see her fight, we get to see others fight and other underground fighting rings as well. Not just that, we also get all sorts of body types, from the small thin girls to the Hulk. The fights themselves are amazing. It's evolved catfighting and just so violent. But there's a few reasons that make the fights great, first and foremost of which is easily the art. While some things are hard to judge because the series is not very long right now, I think we can safely say the art is top. The impacts are solid and the blows just feel powerful. It's also fluid and easy to understand. While some action manga you can't really tell what's happening, I don't find that's an issue here. Each blow feels distinctly like a blow. Each flurry feels like a flurry. Each snozberry tastes like a snozberry. The way dodging and fast attacks are shown and how energy and momentum are moved around is really easy to see, with a lot of flowing lines and like after images. It all really accentuates the techniques of the characters and their unique ways of fighting. It also accentuates their injuries. The injuries are rough. While there are definitely some moments of anime manga dirt lines of pain, we also get some really brutal visualization on broken bones and blood, along with fist-shaped indents in the general skull area and contortions in the skin. They don't really take this and move on either. The strains shown in the face, even if exaggerated, are so well done. Though not related to fighting directly, the facial expressions are in a class of their own and I am there for it. And that's not the only thing that's exaggerated. In Kengan Ashura fashion, the fighting itself is very over the top, yet still peak. The fighting styles are both very real and very made up. Yet both are technically doable in reality, but often wander out of the realm of humanly possible. It doesn't stray too far away though, which adds to the excitement. Also, all of these different styles clash in really cool ways. It's fun to see different techniques go head to head in unbelievable ways. They don't leave you hanging with what's going on either. We get simple and straightforward explanations after the fact of exactly what people did, again using real world logic, but giving it a tiny stretch. And there's one more thing that makes these fights so good. The results. You just don't know who's going to win before or during a fight. Now, I'm not saying there aren't very obvious victories at some points, but the big fights with the badass characters they hype up, it's just a coin toss. You think you know at the start, then in the back and forth you change your mind, then you change your mind again. Sometimes one person will dominate a fight, sometimes there's a bunch of exchanges, and sometimes someone will be dominated, but do one sneaky thing to just pull a victory right at the end. What can I say? The unpredictability is hype AF. The story also has some nice twists and turns and has some really odd stakes that include WMDs. I won't get too much into it since, spoilers, but know that the bigger the fights, the closer they get to these WMDs. That's not to say the story is entirely unpredictable. You can definitely see things coming, and it's definitely not the most complex thing out there. It's just kind of weird at times. Weird in a good way. I just appreciate that there's more to the fights than just fighting. Not saying anything bad against Record of Ragnarok, but personal grudges, money, and influence add to the juiciness of it all, even if strictly unnecessary. The stakes could get deeper though, since, as mentioned, the series isn't that long right now. I guess the last thing I haven't really touched on is the characters. I mentioned them, but I never really spoke about our main character, who looks about as dead inside as I feel. So yeah, she's a washed up underground fighter, but she is an ex-MMA fighter who is really good, so she has a lot of experience and technique. That's what drags our revolutionary star into their circle. She's seen as a fitting challenge, but she doesn't really want to deal with that. She more or less does because she needs to drive the story. Everything story related is from her perspective. She's the one making all the big calls about who to gather for the fights, where they're gonna hold them, and who they're facing off against. She's very much a realist and very pragmatic when it comes to how she carries everything, though maybe a bit too pragmatic in the way she fights. She's just very much the glue holding everything together. She's smart and calculating, not wanting to step on the toes of the bigger organizations. I guess you could call her careful. And even though the series calls her out for being boring, we don't see much of her fighting, but what she does do is pretty good, so I don't know, maybe we'll see an interesting fight from her someday. It'd be good since she's the real main character, which is really why I'm talking about her so much. You usually need to like the main character of a series or really hate them. Funny how that works. But this girl is really trying to do her best, and while not the most lovable MC, she has her moments, and that's enough for me. She holds out well enough between the fights. And I'm not going to go too much into each of the other characters, but I find that they're each kind of likable in their own crazy way. The important ones don't feel like generic cutouts, and they have their own motivations, though some motivations are simple while others are straight up silly. They also have a nice separation between being psychotic in a fight to being chill out in the city. It does wonders for those characters you don't really like in a fight as enemies, but suddenly they're cool and chill and not absolutely insane. They have a surprising side to them, which is really fun and grounded. Thing is, this applies the other way around too. It has already happened where characters I thought weren't fighters because of how normal they were suddenly found themselves competently fighting in the ring. It's just another unpredictable part of the series. And that's pretty well all I got to say about this manga. It's not deep, it's not crazy complex, but it's some good fun, honestly really accentuated by the art. If you don't know Kengan Ashura, I recommend giving that a shot first. You can still read this without Kengan Ashura, but it has the same kind of brutal fun, and I'm pretty sure Isshou Senkin is going to share its world with Kengan Ashura. Maybe there were references already that I missed. I didn't explicitly see them yet, but I expect someone from that assassin family with weird eyes to show up. Anyways, I'm getting a bit off topic. If you've read it, what did you think? Maybe you'll read it after this? Sorry, it's not super long right now. Or maybe you'll wait until it gets an anime. Either way, thanks for coming. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading manga. I'll catch you next time.